Imagine walking into a corner store on a warm Tuesday afternoon in 1960. You've got a single, crisp $1 bill in your pocket. To most of us today, that's pocket change. It's the crinkled bill you find in the couch cushions, or the change you leave in the take-a-penny jar because it's not even worth the weight in your pocket. But in 1960, that dollar was a superpower. With that one bill, you could sit down at a diner and order a massive steak dinner, a side of buttery mashed potatoes, a fresh salad, and still have enough left over for a slice of apple pie and a hot cup of coffee. If you were a kid, that dollar was an absolute kingdom. It bought you 10 movie tickets, or 20 large candy bars, or a stack of comic books that would take you all week to finish. Today, if you walk into a store with that same dollar, you're lucky if you can find a single pack of gum. Most vending machines won't even wake up for it. We're told that this is just how things are. We're told that prices go up and that's just life. But have you ever stopped to ask why? Why does it feel like our grandparents lived in a world of abundance while we, with our high-tech phones and better jobs, are constantly struggling to keep our heads above water? Is it just that things got more expensive, or has the very ground beneath our feet been shifting for 60 years? Something happened to the value of your time, and once you see the 1960 reality, you'll realize the American dream didn't just fade away, it was priced out of existence. Let's step back for just a second. It's 1960. You're driving a brand new Chevy, and you pull into a gas station. You hand the attendant a $5 bill. He doesn't just fill your tank, he washes your windshield, checks your oil, and hands you back $3 in change. Gas is 31 cents a gallon. You head home to a 3-bedroom house in a quiet suburb. It's got a yard, a garage, and a white picket fence. The total price for that entire house, roughly $12,000. If you're making the average salary of about $5,600 a year, that house isn't a crushing debt that takes 30 years of stress to pay off. It's a goal that you can reach in just a few years of honest work. In this world, financial stress meant something completely different. The father goes to work, the mother stays home with the kids, and yet they are thriving. They aren't rich, they're just middle class. But that middle-class life included a new car every few years, a color TV, and a family vacation every single summer. A single bag of groceries full of milk, eggs, bread, and fresh meat cost about $5. Think about that. 1 hour of work at a basic job bought enough food to feed an entire family for 2 days. There was a sense of breathing room. You didn't need a side hustle. You didn't need to drive Uber on the weekends or sell clothes online to make rent. You worked 40 hours and the world gave you back a life of dignity. Now let's fast forward to right now. Look at that same bag of groceries. Today, that milk, those eggs, and that meat, it's $60, $70, $80. That starter home in the suburbs, it's not $12,000 anymore. In most of America, it's $400,000. But here's the part that really hurts. Our salaries didn't keep up with the jump. If our wages had grown at the same rate as the cost of housing, the average worker today would be making $200,000 a year. But they aren't. Instead, we are working harder than our grandparents ever did. We are more productive. We have better tools. We work longer hours. Yet we feel poorer. We feel like we're running a race on a track that keeps getting longer while the finish line stays just out of reach. We're told that we have it better because we have iPhones and high-speed internet. But you can't live inside a smartphone. You can't eat a Netflix subscription. The things that actually matter, the things that define a stable, happy life, have become luxury items for the elite. It feels unfair, because it is unfair. Something happened to the link between our labor and our rewards. Between 1960 and today, the gravity of our economy changed, and the weight fell entirely on your shoulders. Most people assume this is just inflation. They think it's just a natural law of the universe, like the seasons changing or the tide coming in. But that's only part of the story. If you look closely at the history, you'll notice that for a long time, prices stayed relatively flat. For decades, a dollar bought almost the same amount of bread. Then suddenly, the line on the graph broke. What really changed wasn't just the price of the milk or the house. What changed was the very definition of the dollar itself. There is a specific reason why your grandfather could support a family of 5 on a single paycheck, while you might be struggling to support yourself on 2. And it's not because you're buying too many lattes or because you aren't working hard enough. It's because the contract between your work and your money was quietly rewritten without anyone asking for your permission. The truth is, the money in your pocket today isn't the same money they used in 1960. It looks the same, it has the same faces on it, but the mechanics under the hood were replaced with something else entirely. To understand why your dollar feels like a nickel, we have to look at the smoking gun. We have to look at the exact moment the American dream was decoupled from the American paycheck. And once you see what happened in the dark corners of the 1970s, you will realize that everything you were taught about saving money was a lie. The rules of the game changed, and it's time you saw exactly how they did it. So, we're standing there, looking at the 1960s with a mix of envy and confusion. We see the $12,000 house, the 30-cent gas, the single-income family living a life of absolute abundance. And then we look at our own bank accounts, and we wonder, did we do something wrong? We're told that we're living in the most advanced age in history. We have more degrees, more technology, and more wealth on paper than any generation before us. But why does it feel like we're losing ground? The truth is, it wasn't a slow, natural change. It wasn't just the way things go. Something shifted. A fundamental gear in the American machine was swapped out for another, and most people didn't even notice it happening. It started with a tiny gap, a small space between what you were producing and what you were actually getting to keep. And over the last 50 years, that gap has grown into a canyon. To understand what happened, we have to look at a simple concept. Back in 1960, there was a deal. If you worked harder and the company you worked for became more productive, your paycheck grew right along with it. It was like a pair of gears locked together. As the economy moved forward, the worker moved forward. But then, right around the early 1970s, those gears uncoupled. Suddenly, American workers kept getting more productive. We got faster, we got smarter, we used better machines, we were making more stuff and more profit for the world than ever before. But the paycheck? It stopped following the curve. It flattened out. While the cost of a home, the cost of a car, and the cost of a steak dinner kept climbing into the stratosphere, the real value of an hour of your life stayed stuck in the past. And here is where it gets interesting. Because we couldn't buy that 1960s lifestyle with our actual wages anymore, we started doing something else. We started using credit. In 1960, if you wanted something, you saved for it. Credit cards were barely a thing. You bought what you could afford. But as our wages stopped growing, the system offered us a solution. They gave us plastic. They gave us 30-year mortgages. They gave us student loans. We started borrowing the American dream because we could no longer earn it. We replaced purchasing power with debt. And that is when $1 in 1960 officially started to feel like $20 today. If you're enjoying the video, subscribe and comment what you think about this topic. This isn't just about big numbers on a screen. It's about the modern squeeze. Think about your grocery store today. Have you noticed the boxes getting slightly smaller while the prices stay the same or even go up? They call it shrinkflation, but it's really just a symptom of the same disease. In 1960, a dollar was a store of value. You could put it under your mattress, pull it out 10 years later, and it would still buy roughly the same amount of bread. Today, money has an expiration date. If you leave your money sitting still, it's melting. It's losing its strength every single day. This forces everyone into a frantic race. You can't just work and save anymore. You have to invest. You have to gamble in the stock market. You have to find hustles. You are forced to be a financial expert just to keep the same lifestyle your grandfather had while working at a local hardware store. And then there's the housing trap. In 1960, a house was a place to live. Today, a house is a financial asset. Because the money itself is losing value, everyone with real wealth is pouring it into the one thing they can't print more of: land. This drives the prices up so high that the average person is priced out of their own neighborhood. You're not paying $400,000 for more house than they had in 1960. In many cases, you're paying 10 times more for a house that's actually smaller and older. You're paying for the devaluation of the currency, and you're paying it with the hours of your life. It's easy to look at this and get angry or feel like it's a giant conspiracy, but the reality is more grounded and in some ways more sobering. The world changed. In the 1970s, we moved away from a money system backed by gold to a system backed by promises. This allowed the government to spend more, it allowed the banks to lend more, and it fueled a massive explosion in technology and global trade. We got the internet, we got cheaper electronics, we got a world that is connected like never before. But there was a hidden tax on that progress. To keep this new system running, the money had to lose value. It was designed to keep moving, to keep circulating, to keep people borrowing. The stability of 1960 was traded away for the expansion of the modern era. Most of us didn't realize we were making that trade. We just woke up one day and realized that a good job doesn't buy what it used to. We realized that the middle class is no longer a place of rest, but a place of constant, exhausting effort. So, when we say that $1 in 1960 felt like $20 today, we aren't just talking about inflation. We're talking about the weight of life. In 1960, that dollar bill represented a certain amount of peace. It represented the ability to cover your basics with ease and have plenty left over for the things that make life worth living. Today, that same dollar is a reminder of the treadmill. We have more stuff than our grandparents ever dreamed of. We have more information, more travel, more entertainment, but we have less time. We are the most productive generation in human history, yet we are the most time poor. We are working harder than ever to buy a version of the American dream that used to be almost effortless. We can't go back to 1960. The world has moved on, and the old money is gone forever. But by understanding what we lost, we can start to see the world for what it really is. We can stop blaming ourselves for not being rich enough and start realizing that the yardstick used to measure our success has been shrinking while we weren't looking. The $12,000 house is gone. The 30-cent gas is a memory, but the lesson remains. Money is just a way to measure the value of your time, and in the modern world, your time is becoming the most expensive thing you'll ever own. Perhaps the real question isn't why things are so expensive, but why we ever agreed to a system where our hard work buys us less of our own lives every single year. Your bank account tells you how much money you have, but it will never tell you how much your time is actually worth.